What's going on, everybody? I want to, thank you all for being here on this beautiful day. Um, I am Zeke. I'm one of the co-founders of Sky Welkin. We're going to talk today about some of the alternatives to uh, medicine and amongst other topics. Today, I'm here with to my man to the left.
Jared.
All right.
Gabby.
Y'all can take y'all masks off when I'm talking to. This is all good.
Cam Murdoch.
All right. So, why don't we start with just medicine in general? What do you all define as medicine?
I guess I'll start. I consider medicine anything that, you can take that's going to benefit you or heal you in some way. Like, for example, herbs. Some people look at medicine as like drugs you can find, through a doctor. But I feel like anything that is leading to like a cure instead of just, something that's going to make you feel good for the time being.
Okay. Anybody?
Yeah, I agree with that. And just to add to it, like, it doesn't have to be something you can consume. It could be a medicinal practice or a routine that you have that gives you those same healing benefits.
I would say I agree too. I mean, the ultimate goal of medicine is to try to cure whatever you're taking the medicine for. Everyone's trying to heal from something. So I'll just say I agree with the group.
Yeah, facts. Like, I can't break it down like what they call it, like etymology wise, but like, my understanding of medicine has always been to like, lead to a better result, at least. You know what I'm saying? Not a worse result. You go to the doctor to get prescribed something that should, make you better, not lead you to taking something else to fix something that particular drug is doing. But we'll talk about all that later. We'll get into that. Just rolling along. Like, what are some ways that you all choose to medicate? Let's say. Do you go by the book, or have you, or like, what is by the book to you? You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you all subscribe to when it comes to, like, feeling better?
Well, me, I personally like time to myself, like I like to meditate. I like to be in my own space, in my own solitude, because that's where I feel like I can kind of, rebuild and go back into the world with like a fresh mind and, in a mindful way. So, like, I like having that solitude with myself. Like, sometimes I may wake up in the morning during the week and I may take a bubble bath and, like, clean my mind. Like, don't watch any TV, read a book or something like that. Eat clean and just kind of detox my mind and my body and my spirit so that, like, I can feel like myself again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, everything you just touched on was, like, is crucial. And meditation is something, meditating and eating clean is something that I could say that I really, like, taken to more this year with everything that's been going on in 2020. Like, the best thing that you can do is kind of like take some time to yourself, and make sure you put in like something good in your body, especially like when you're making it as opposed to like, like fast food or something like that. But like, yeah, like, what are some other ways?
See, me, I come up with my own routine. So it's like, it's not just one thing. I wake up early, probably like 5 in the morning, and I get a workout in. After that, the most important meal of the day is breakfast. So I have to go have a good, nice, clean, healthy breakfast. And then I would throw some meditation in there some way, but I like to stay active, because whenever you're active, you're very less easily distracted by a distraction. So it's as long as I can follow my day-to-day routine, because part of my routine I have those stress relievers, the gym. Sometimes I'll go 2 times a day. Depends on what's on the schedule for that day. But the ultimatum is to stay busy, The more you're busy, the less that you're gonna entertain the nonsense.
Mm.
Yeah, I definitely feel all of those things. Like the staying active first thing in the morning for me is really big. Like I practice yoga, Ashtanga yoga, and it's kind of like taking that time to be nothing but you. You're not somebody's spouse or significant other. You're not someone's employee. You're not somebody's boss those first few hours in the day. So it kind of like sets the tone for your whole day. And if you're doing that at the beginning of the week, like today, it's kind of setting the whole tone for the week. Just whole conversation is like bringing that wellness to a mind, just the front of your mind, you know, before you get into all the other stuff you got to do.
It's definitely a mental thing as well. Like, not only is it from like a health aspect, but you know, just mentally, especially nowadays with so many people trying to like overcome anxiety and things like that, and you know, just focusing on the problem at hand, and then just focusing on the now, really.
Right, because that was like, while I agree with everything y'all saying, I think that staying busy and but meditating, kind of like they're contradictions of each other, even though meditating is doing something.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes when you got like a lot of things going on, excuse me, like, you know, staying busy and not taking time to just detach from everything could like make the whole situation worse. You know what I'm saying? Because you're just like more you're worried about like more earthly things. You know what I'm saying? All those things that you said, being a spouse, being somebody's employee, being somebody's boss, being a son, a brother, a sister, you know what I'm saying, a friend. Like before you're any of that, you know what I'm saying, when you're like just born, you're like you know what I'm saying, and when you don't take time to at least come back to that, like come back inside yourself, because I'm sure like we all pour out to other people a lot, like on a daily basis, that like that meditation factor of just like really taking the time to do nothing and, for lack of a better term, like be nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like just like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm me.
And then even when you go back into that, it's like you have to be like productive in that, you know, and not just busy. So it's like, of course you got to get things done, your everyday things, but like even when you come back from just being a being, like what you're supposed to be, then you can go out into the world with a fresh mind to like be productive and get things done in the right way, you know, instead of being busy and just wasting time, you know.
Yeah, like I don't know where I read it, but it's kind of one of those things, habits of highly productive or happy people. Just scheduling your playtime in the same way you schedule like just any time for yourself or just pure enjoyment. So that way, like when you don't do that, you're just kind of like, you're going through your job and all the things that you have to do, and you're wishing that you could be doing that thing you want to do. And then when you're doing the thing you want to do, because you didn't really schedule it, you're just kind of like finding pockets of enjoyment or frivolous activity here and there. You're not really getting the most efficient playtime or work time. It's just, you get burnt out easily.
Right. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I think the end goal should always to not be stagnant. A lot of people, especially people with 9 to 5s, you know, you can, when you're going through the same routine and you don't really, you know, bring new, fresh ideas, you know, you kind of get caught up in the mix, for better or for worse. So I think the end goal should always to not remain stagnant. What do you do at the time you have after you get off your 9 to 5? Are you trying to progress more? Are you trying to build your career, or are you just spending it on entertainment? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, we all have, life's about choices and how you spend that time. You know, it's all about being organized. What does my schedule look like today? What does my schedule look like tomorrow? What time do I have for entertainment? What time do I have for business? It doesn't matter if you have a 9 to 5 or if you don't. You know, you can always multitask as long as you're responsible in what you do.
And that's even that's a bigger point too. Like coming back to like meditation, going like in progression, going inside yourself to like heal, is doing something. Even though to somebody else on the outside, they might see you sitting still and be like, "Oh, that nigga, that individual ain't doing nothing."
But you're really doing something.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. This is really a move, like a time that I am taking to be more than what I was before I started it.
So it's like your Sabbath. Like you have your day or your time to yourself.
And you can make that every day,
yeah.
like just an hour.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? A day could be your.
That's more important than I feel like everything else.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and getting to a point where you have the mindset and like the self-love to recognize that is more important, and not feeling any guilt, putting yourself first. Like, yeah, stuff could be going this and that way at your job or with like other situations you have, but like ultimately you can't be good for anybody else or any other situation if you're like not good for you.
Right, and it makes everything else that much more enjoyable to do, like to go to work and to do those everyday things that we typically don't want to do,
Yeah, because you find peace in it, and I think we kind of like touched on this earlier. You find out that certain issues that you could have, like that you recognize stuff in other people once you've taken the time to like heal your own BS. You know what I'm saying? You might can actually like, not that you got to be all preachy about it, but you can see the answer to somebody else's problem. You can have a better understanding of what somebody else is going through when you have like a better understanding of yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like what triggers you, and whoop-de-whoop. Then you'll be like, oh, well, maybe when I did such and such to, you know what I'm saying, my coworker, like that triggered something that they went through when they was younger.
You just
know
have
what I'm
more
saying?
grace,
Yeah.
Experience is the best teacher. There's always, you're not going to understand someone else if you haven't figured out who you are, if you don't, if you don't take accountability for your actions. As long as you take accountability for your actions in a situation, you'll always understand it from another perspective, because everyone's dealing with their own issues. You never know what someone's dealing with in any particular situation.
Like, have any of y'all ever had like experiences with like coping with life like the wrong way? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you ever found yourself like getting over life in a way that you had to change and cut out to be the person that's here today?
I feel like I have, like, with overindulging, like even with drinking, like we talked about socially drinking and how you can like overdo it, you know what I mean? Like even like if you go out to have a drink, sometimes that could turn into 3 or 4, and you ain't eat, right up the proper meal before you went out, or you would have a hangover. So like it was just one point in time in my life, I felt like I was having a hangover more than often, more than I should have. And someone pointed it out, and she was like, well, why do you keep having the hangover? And I'm like, dang, well, I'm thinking about my situation that happened and how it like affected me, and I'm still like trying to get over it a little bit. So I know that maybe I was overindulging in that way. And I just know I had to cut it back. I was like, I just can't even go out, or drink when I go out if that's what I need to do. But that definitely ain't the way to go, because I felt like it was just affecting me and just everything else, my body and my mind. Like I just won't feeling right, going to work every day, hungover, tired. So just kind of had to switch it up a little bit.
See, for me, it was definitely when you have the reputation of being the life of the party. You kind of gotta try to live up to that all the time. So it's like we talked about social drinking, but it's like when you could afford the social drink all the time, it's not really social drinking, because you do it all the time, but you doing it to be social. So you don't. So then you had to switch it up. I had to take like 4 or 5 months with just no drinking to kind of like show that I really am a social drinker, but I don't need alcohol to socialize. It's just always there, and it's like, not that you can't be above the peer pressure, but it's legal. As long as you drink responsibly. Everyone loves to have a good time. I just think everyone handles it differently. Everyone puts different things in their body, and everyone's like nurtured differently. So I definitely think some people, you know, you have your people who black out, you have your people who don't drink much. I mean, there's all different kinds of people in the atmosphere. But I think definitely there was a time where I was, not for anything particular, but just to kind of keep self as an identity, I would still, no matter how busy I would still go out and socialize. Because it just felt like I was being true to myself, but you don't need that to be true to yourself. You know?
Yeah, and you know, it's funny because like some people that might not have experienced like the college life might think that because you went to college, like things are like that much easier for you. But in like college, like, you know what I'm saying, early you are exposed to drinking and, you know what I'm saying, coping with stress like all the wrong ways. You know what I'm saying? You out the house, you don't even have nobody like necessarily like over your shoulder. If you know how to get away from them RAs, then, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, look, I'm glad you brought I'm glad you brought up the college aspect, because, bro, I still have PTSD from that. That's for real. Like, PTSD from the RAs, not even to cut you off, but, like, it took me to be out of school for, like, 4 or 5 years till I noticed, like, all right, that was acceptable at that time. That's what you were kind of supposed to do. You still you still got your shit together, but it's like, I was kind of still living in that college mindset, but I was already in the real world, successful and all that, but I still had that college mindset, like, well, as long as I'm going to go to class tomorrow, as long as I go to work tomorrow, I can stay out as late as I want, as long as I get up at the alarm clock, and understanding that even though that's the case, you can still build on that. You could be better than that. You could cut that out. You know, you're not in that environment anymore. Yeah. So why continue to try to live like that? Like he said, like, I feel like I still have PTSD. If you get away from an RA, that sets you up in the real world to mind your business. I'm going to come out of your business because, hey, so look, I still got PTSD.
That's like, you know, school is like an institution, and a lot of people probably don't, like, understand that part of the institution of going to school. So, like, even on the same type of tip, like, on the bigger scale, you know, the pharmaceutical industry is like a whole. You know what I'm saying? Have any of y'all ever had like any experiences? I'm gonna just, you know what I'm saying, I put it out there for school, you know what I'm saying? I don't know who, but Adderall was like a thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I remember. I used to hear stuff like that too.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I
Adderall,
studied.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, you know, have any of y'all ever had, or like, just like, what's your take on just like prescribed medicine?
Well, I don't really have any life experiences other than I have a younger cousin who was prescribed Adderall, and the teachers would complain one moment that, you know, he wasn't paying attention, that he take his medicine, go back to school, he falling asleep, so it was never no like in between. But besides that, I did a research paper 1 year in college about like pharmaceutical drugs and just the industry in general, and it's pretty much, I feel like it's built to be dependent, you know, on these drugs to make money, you know, and it's never really like an end result. Like, it's always like, oh, I'm taking meds for my depression, and they could possibly make me even more depressed, or, you know, having all of these side effects outside of that, where I can have a heart attack, or, you know, anything. So I just feel like it's just a vicious cycle, and I really don't believe that that's considered medicine, like, because I don't believe that it's the ultimate goal is to heal or to make people better. You know, it's all just like placebo and, you know, just fix it for now.
See what works. May cause side effects.
Right.
So the way I look at it, I say
and then they tell us what it is. We just want that.
I live by the thing that too much of anything is not good for you. I do believe there's scenarios or situations which the medicine probably helps some people, but I've also been on the other side of the fence where I've heard it does the opposite from help. Some people say it hurts, you know. I just take what I hear.
So not to cut you off, bro, but like, what about like, okay, let's put the cat out the bag, like the weed industry. You know what I'm saying? Like, real quick, what do y'all think that this, Cam, if you want to touch on something about that?
So I think like with the weed, for one, when anything like medicine wasn't an industry, like all like natural medicine is just like there, and so you got the pharmaceutical industry on top of that taking something and commodifying it, anytime you commodify it, there's always going to be the aspect of, all right, how can we keep this going? How can we keep this industry going? And if everybody's healed, then the industry is dead. So just inherently, I don't believe that it's the answer, but I do recognize that it does help some people. I would like to know, like, you know, a Libra scale of harm versus hate, harm versus help. But, you know, as far as weed, it's kind of the same thing. Like, you have social implications of, like, we got to think about why people are depressed and why people have these issues. Like, a lot of these things are caused by their material conditions. So an example, weed industry, all right, you got these big weed companies coming in, they're pushing out the small medicinal farmers.
Hopefully it doesn't come the same thing, like tobacco and alcohol and all that. Hopefully it doesn't become a shady industry, like, you know what I'm saying, how a lot of other good things potentially to the world could be.
Exactly.
And, you know what I'm saying, because of exploitation.
But you have to do your own research outside of what's been given to us and like what's already there, because, like, you know, we have our natural herbs, medicines, and then we have what the doctors give us. Like, of course we should go to the doctor, you know, we got healthcare, we have to have it, so why not use it? But, like, take that information and then take what we research on our own, you know, with our medicines, and go to our holistic practitioners as well, you know, to expand our own knowledge. Because it's like, if we're out here and we're just taking things because it sounds good for the time being, it's like we're really doing it to ourselves. It's like they're not forcing us to take medicines. Like, I've seen people, my little sister, for example, like, she's been told to take one medicine and then this wasn't working, it was causing blood clots and, you know, all these different things, and then she'll tell her to take another medicine without a break, you know, and I don't feel that's natural. So,
like at ODU, like, kind of like she said, at ODU, I did a lot of research papers and I did a lot of research on this. But one angle that I did, one of the longest research papers were like I guess the drugs and the criminal justice system as well. So I feel like, you know, that's where, like, the marijuana and the pharmaceutical industry also clash in the criminal justice system, because, you know, since they've passed legislation to kind of decriminalize and legalize in some states, but there was always a point in time where it says that, like, all races and ethnicities, they use both of them at the same rate, but, you know, how, you know, the numbers were favoring minorities were the ones in the system because of it. And it's like minorities aren't the only ones that, you know, need the help or try to self-heal, you know.
And speaking on that, like, can y'all just say, like, how y'all feeling these masks right now with these herbal?
This is so relaxing. It's like got me feeling real chill on the inside right now. I don't even want to take it off the top.
Yo, for real, fact.
I'm really doing it so you can hear me. I talk low, but yeah, I can keep it on too. You know, all day.
That's love,
I definitely feel like I can breathe. Real nice.
I can definitely breathe.
You feel woke? Any more or less woke?
I feel mellow but woke.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's crazy because, at least I say, like, as the last point on this smoke, like, after, like, getting into, like, the meditation and everything, like, I started to think, like, maybe the reason why we are prone to, if you do indulge in, like, smoking, is because, like, that's the one time when you're, like, paying attention to your breath. So it is like meditative in that point, because you try and get that pull, and you feel it go all the way down up in you. You know what I'm saying? You're breathing down to your soul, because that's, you know what I'm saying. That's what you're doing it for. But, like, if you was able to take that, because I'm not for, well, I don't think that the system is right, but at the same time, like, you do what you do. I think that we're equally as able to find, like, the same benefits in, like, smoking as you are just in, like, meditating and pay attention to your breath. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be drug related to actually, like, you know what I'm saying? It just, you might just need to breathe the right shit in, you know what I'm saying? And, like, overall, I think this is, like, you know, a very positive outlook on, like, you know, this exact subject, with everything that's going on with 2020, with the pandemic, the social unrest, and just, like, how to move forward. You know, I appreciate all of y'all for being here and, like, just opening up about how we as, like, a community can progress, you know what I'm saying, within ourselves, because I believe that it starts there. you know, like if we become better people, you know what I'm saying? If that becomes infectious, you know what I'm saying, and let that spread, then let's see what happens in 2021. You feel me? So it might just start with a mask, the right mask and the right filter, but everything that we talked about here was, you know what I'm saying, equally as like helpful. And again, I want to thank y'all all for being here.
I appreciate y'all
doubt,
too.
no doubt.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no doubt. All right.
Let's go.